Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah, NBA Straya, how are you going? How you going? I hope you're all right. You should be, because it is Friday. That's right, 2GIF, am I right? May 17, all day. And I am your host, James Clements. You can see my ugly mug on Fox Sports Lab NBA, the official AFL Supercoach podcast, the AFL Today show. I don't know, just around the traps as well. You can see the videos every morning, the drop-off playoff picks. Anyway, here in Larry Armour Studios, hanging out. It's episode 1099 today. How fun is that? And we're wrapping up a single game that was the second biggest blowout in NBA playoff, knockout elimination game history. So that'll be fun. But the cool part is we've also got good friend of the show, Cam Gliddon. That's right, New Zealand Breakers last year, hanging out over there in Kiwi land, jumping on to have a quick chat just about his year and what's going on at the moment, and his vibes on all the NBA series, which is pretty fun. So we'll wrap up the game in the NBA Straya game race. That means we've got That's Not a Knife, Old Mate, No Mate, Spud of the Night, Better Than Lonzo Ball. We've got some We've got the Unpopular Opinion of the Day. We've got Outback Takehouse, where they're serving up some sort of flame grilled take. That's right. There is a magic tweet of the day and dickhead of the week as well. And Andrew Gay's Graham Umber Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence. We might actually change that, I think, to a very brief Role Player of the Week award, the Luc Longley Award. And then we'll close out with a pick and preview for all the series games over the weekend. We've got some crackers, a couple of even more elimination games. So better strap in. All right, without further ado there, let's get into it. Episode 1099 of NBA Straya. Oh, let's go!
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze, and you're listening and watching NBA Straya.
Watch out for the Shaq Attack.
You bet. I'll tell you what, it is weird how everybody's sort of getting all bent out of shape about inside the NBA and the TNT, basically having the NBA rights. Pretty weird, sort of everyone's valid, just going, oh, really sad. Veil inside the NBA. It's still not dead yet. They'll probably license it out. But what it has engendered is a lot of people going, remember this bit from inside the NBA? And you're like, that was pretty good. That was pretty funny. The Shaq Attack is, for today, an attack on logic. And how Shaq was like, remember, I'm going to fill up my gas tank on halfway. It means you fill it up less than if you let it go all the way down. It still is weird, hilarious, and still makes absolutely no sense. It's amazing. What a legend. Anyway, let's start today's show the way we start every show here in NBA Australia. I believe it's with some sort of, what would you say, Jim? Is it a whip around? Oh, yes, there you go. See, it's going to be whipped. In terms of news, not a giant amount today. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, a.k.a. the world's most lovable player. Everybody loves him. He's always really happy. He won the Sportsmanship Award, which is kind of cool. Enjoyed that. And that seems fine. The other little bit of news is that Victor Wembanyama is out there on the La France Olympic roster, which would be pretty interesting. They're like, hey, we've got some pretty good players here in France. And you're like, oh, shit. Is it to keep the rabbits out in China? God, I love that. I think they've got 19 players listed in the French one. And you look, Rudy Gobert, this Stafford Tower. You've also got Nick Batum, Evan Don't Google Me, Fournier, and co. Pretty interesting. They won silver in Tokyo, did the French. So interesting to see how they go. Got a couple of warm-up games coming up as well. Otherwise, it was a pretty quiet day for the simple fact that we had one game. There was an elimination game and turned into the second biggest blowout in elimination game history. So, sure. So, I guess we'll just fly through the wrap of that show because there's not much else. I think the other little bits and bobs, I think Woj has been doing the media rounds, which is kind of fun. And he was talking about what the closest trade that he ever that was basically done that we don't really think about. And he brought up the fact that it was Kobe to Detroit and how that was basically done and how Kobe went and visited Jerry Buss's house and was like, all right, I'll stay. And how that sort of just changes the entirety of like NBA history for a bunch, right? And you're like, yeah, that was a weird time. So if you're of my vintage, you still probably remember that entire weird sort of summer, well, like 07-ish. And you're like, Kobe's out, he's done. It's like, oh, is he going to end up on the Bulls? Is he going to end up on Detroit? What are the Detroit Pistons going to trade for him? It was like, what was it going to be? Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun, picks, all this sort of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. Woj is still just a weird unit, isn't he? I'll tell you. Anyway, let's do a game wrap from today's blowout. Game wrap. Let's do it. Game wrap. Denver 70, Minnesota 115. Woo, boy. So this was an absolute, like they got straight killed.
So he got straight killed.
But more importantly, 115 to 70, this was 59-40 at the half. But there were, three separate runs put together by the Minnesota Timberwolves of 20 to 0, 13 to 0, and 24 to 0. Those are three separate runs they had in this game that they won by 45 and led at one point, embarrassingly enough for the Nuggets. That's right. It's French. They led by 50. Wow. Like Denver scored 9 points in the fourth quarter. Like you thought it couldn't get worse than the 31-14 opening. It could. Narrator, it definitely could. They got down by 50 in that fourth quarter. It was just an embarrassing game. The craziest part was how it started, like 9-2 for the Nuggets. He had a couple of threes, and then the Wolves just go, hang on, what are we doing here? Boom! You turn around, it's a 20-0 run. It was 20-9. 6 minutes of absolutely no scoring by Denver. If you look at the worm for this game, it is one of the more psychotic worms you'll ever see. It's like it's not even a footy worm, but it would I don't know if you're playing West Coast last year, right? Denver would the most confusing aspect of this for me was you're watching that Wolves defense, and you know where this Wolves defense actually belongs. Do you know where it should go?
This is going straight to the pool room.
For Minnesota Timberwolves basketball, this game should go straight to the pool room. You're down 3-2 in a series. You're up 2, zip in. You lose 3 straight to the reigning champions. Everyone's just going, they're cooked, mate, including your mate Jim. And you pull out this defensive effort where you're stopping Denver at every turn and ripping off runs where they're just not allowed to score. That is definitely going to the pool room. Game 6, second round, Western Conference semifinals 2024. The Minnesota Timberwolves defense. The cool thing is, if Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets win Game 7, this still goes to the pool room as a series for the Joker in his all-time sort of quest for greatness, right? So, yes, you've won 3 straight, well, not 3 straight, 3 and 4 years of MVPs. You've won a title. And however this year sort of finishes off, if they get by this Wolves defense, you look at this game and go, how? Hell, seriously, how? It was chaos. Minnesota out-rebounded them to the absolute bejesus and set a franchise record in the process. But the most striking thing outside of the Wolves defense was just how shit the shots were that Denver were taking. They completely lost their composure right from the get-go, right? They're taking long threes. They're taking threes off the dribble. Just ISO gear, long, bad, gross shots left, right, and center. Joker is trying to do stuff, and they're just fucking swarming him. And, of course, Jamal Murray couldn't hit a shot to save his life. Nobody else could either. And it got real bad real quick. I think at the half, it's 59-40. And there was a moment at the back half of the second quarter where Denver dragged it back to 15. And then Naz Reid just goes, stop it. I'm going to smash her. And he did. He got a couple of buckets. It's 9-10 again, and they just played him for a standstill. Joker had 16 points in the first half. No one else did shit. Jamal Murray is 1 of 10. They were 4 of 21 from downtown. At what point do you just go, hey, maybe we should stop shooting threes? We're not hitting any of them. We've taken 21 in a fucking half. I don't know, boys. Maybe we should pump the brakes on these threes. They're not going in tonight. Ant-Man had 19 in the first half. They already had 12 points from 7 Denver turnovers, which is a pretty chaotic turnover rate. And then at the start of the third quarter, the game was basically over because Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels just kept scoring. Ant-Man has his absolutely insane fuck you dunk with like 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the game was over. Seriously, Ant-Man drives through everyone, cocks it back over his head, whapang! Back up 24. The next play, he gets hurt, falls on his ass, flat on his back, ruins his shit. Jokic did not score in the third quarter until like 3 minutes left, and Jamal was still missing everything. Denver were missing everything. They were 0 of 5 from the bench at that point as well. They were 7 of 31 from downtown at that point of the third quarter. And this is just like still the thing where you're like, oh, well, we're not hitting threes tonight, okay. And they end up shooting 7 of 36. It gets so embarrassing, they basically like just go, right, fuck it, we're done here, pack her up, boys. It's just go sit down and fucking think about what we've done. They end up shooting 36% to the Nuggets. The Wolves rip off an insane fourth quarter 24 zip run as well, as I mentioned, to the point where the Nuggets are missing 2 free throws to give everyone a free chicken sandwich. Never great. Good job, Julian Strother. Hero to Minnesota. But 115-70, this Denver Nuggets team just running into this defensive buzzsaw of the Wolves. It's a combination of like just didn't have the shooting tonight, and the Wolves just going, no, you are really, really not going to have your shooting working tonight. They end up going 26 of 86 from the floor. They hit 26 shots in an entire game of basketball, did the Denver Nuggets. They went 7 of 36 from downtown. I'm no math magician, but if you shoot 30% and under 20% from three, you're probably going to lose the game. They also got out-rebounded 43 to diggity 2. 62, that's right. Absolutely insane gear. Reggie Jackson went 0 of 6. The bench did not hit a 3 at all. And I believe the bench was a total of 0 for 9 from downtown. And eventually scored a total of 9 points. It was horrible. Joker, he goes 9 of 19 from the floor, 0 of 4 from downtown as well, though. 22, 9, and 2 for him. 3 turnovers. He was a minus 25. 10 points for Jem and Jamal Murray. He shot 4 of 18. Hashtag spoiler alert. He's the spud of the night. The notorious KCP hit a 3 and then hit one more, and that was it. 9 points total for him. Aaron Air Gordon couldn't do much either. 12, 8, and 4 for him. MPJ was the disappointing one for me. 1 of 6 from 3. 8 points, 6 rebounds. Just, I don't know if there's a more obvious NBA player when it's like, oh, geez, I'm going to hump my shot, and if I keep missing, I'm going to keep shooting, and then I'm just going to stop and completely disengage than Michael Porter Jr. But this was just a horror show. Like, pour one out for Michael Malone. He's like watching, even his bench is just shit. He's just like head in his hands is going, what the fuck is going on here? For the Wolves, you had Ant-Man end up with 27, 4, and 4 with 3 steals. Not bloody bad. But it was Jaden McDaniels and Mike Conley over that sort of the end of the second quarter and the start of the third quarter. No one else scored. It was just them. It was just Conley and McDaniels until like that dunk by Ant-Man that just brought the fucking house down. And what that did was just stick the boot into the Nuggets. I think it was maybe Cat had a shot with like 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. And then it was just McDaniels and Conley for like the next 8 total minutes of game time, which is really impressive. Because they didn't have Conley, obviously, in Game 5. He returns. He has 13, 4, and 5. Goes 3 of 6 from 3. God, it made a difference, right? He had 10 points on 10 shots for Cat. Sure. 0 of 4 from downtown. Didn't matter. Rudy Gobert, 8 points and 14 rebounds. But McDaniels, 21 points. 3 of 5 from 3. 8 of 10 from the floor. Weapon. Naz Reid, 10 and 11 for him as well. Enjoyed that game. Even though he didn't shoot it great, he's like 0 of 4 from downtown. 2 and 4 of 12 overall. Didn't matter. His hustle, his energy, God, it made a difference. He's like, hey, see this? It's called buckets. Blow it out your ass. And away they went. So, they end up shooting 46.5% from the floor and only 37.5% from 3. But it's just that defense that strangled the absolute shit out of the Nugs. They got the Wolves there. Ant-Man was just inexorable. 34 minutes. He's a plus 43. Every time you sort of turn around, he's just there. He's just like, hello, watch out, I'm going to smash her. And you're like, yep, that was an absolute smashing. Like, they got fucking straight killed.
So he got straight killed.
Seriously, 45 points. That's the pantsing of the night. Like, we'll just jump out of the actual sort of way we usually do it. But we'll actually start with the NBA Straya pre-performance of the night.
That's not a
Knife. That's a knife.
Ant-Man, what a knife. 4 of 9 from downtown as well. So Ant-Man, every time he sort of turned around, he was just like, hey, check this out. I'm going to do something sick. But I feel like the NBA Straya pre-performance of the night should probably go to that Wolves crowd. That was an insanely awesome crowd. That crowd was so hype. That crowd was absolutely off their tits. It was fucking unreal. That is how you be a crowd. The gauntlet has been thrown for the Denver Nuggets fans. I loved it. So Ant-Man, when he has that cock it back over your head, quapang dunk, the place just fucking erupts. And he's like fucking staring him down going, we're fucking here. And he does the 7 as he leaves the court, having dropped 27, 4 and 4 on their head on 17 shots, 4 and 9 from downtown. It was a really, really awesome bounce back for Ant-Man. I expected him to go off. I didn't expect McDaniels to be so good. He was really, really good. But it was just such an all-round effort by the Wolves to get there, right? Like Naz Reid, Nicky Alexander-Walker had 9 points, hit 3 threes as well. They ruled. Anytime you can force the Nuggets to like completely empty their bench, you've done a pretty bloody good thing. 115-70. Jeez. Anyway, that leads us very nicely into Spud of the night.
Spud, 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 it is Spud of the night.
Spud of the night. Take your pick from the Nuggets. 4 of 18 for Jam and Jamal Murray. Oh, geez. 2 of 7 from downtown. 10 points, 2 turnovers. Ah, man. Just, I love that Jam and Jamal Murray forced a Game 7. Reggie Jackson goes 0 of 6. Justin Holiday goes 0 of 5. Christian Brown goes 1 of 6. If you are playing along at home, that is your 3 main bench players. If you want to throw Peyton Watson in as well, he went 0 of 1 in 10 minutes. That is your bench. What do they combine for there, Jim? That would be, I believe, 1 of 18 shooting. Now, again, I'm no math magician, but that 1 was not a 3. And 1 of 18 is pretty bloody bad between your entire bench crew. Peyton Watson, 10 minutes. Juzzy Holiday, 13. Reggie Jackson, 12 minutes. And Christian Brown, 18 minutes. Absolutely brutal gear. But I think it was Jam and Jamal Murray, right? Like, what they needed at the exact start of this game was Jokic is like, all right, boys, we're going to get fired up. What is happening? All right. Jamal, can you hit a couple of shots? Talk about like it looked like there's a lid on the goddamn rim. Like every shot he had, it's like, oh, just back iron, just never looking that close. And to finish 4 of 18 is pretty bloody bad. Who's old mate, no mates though?
Old mate, no mate. Old mate.
It's Joker because no one else hit a fucking shot. Like Aaron Gordon wasn't bad. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot 4 of 7, but wow. My thing is, like, should Denver basically just have it set up so that Joker gets, like, an MVP award before every game? So he gets fired up. He's like, oh, yes, I guess I must have hit the 40 points on the big French guy, huh? Yes, fuck him. And off he goes, because that's where it should be at this point. What an absolutely insane bloody game. And Pantsing the Night, as I mentioned, the entire Nuggets organization was pantsed in front of an entirely full arena full of Minnesota fans. That was a pantsing of the highest order. Like, to set the second highest elimination game margin ever in playoff history is absurd. So you better believe that's a pantsing. Who was better than Lonzo Ball in this game though, Jim?
Lonzo was the best player in high school. He was the best player in college. You think he'll get to the pros and be like, I made it to the pros, now I can be average. We're coming for everybody.
Jaden McDaniels, that's right, 28th pick in the 2020 draft, better than Lonzo Ball. Why is that, Jim? Because he had 21 points today and played his bloody ass off. Shot 8 of 10, 3 of 5 from 3, 2 of 2 from the line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Absolute weapon. He is like, so Rudy Gobert is the 4-time defensive player of the year. But the argument can be made that Jaden McDaniels is more important defensively than a 4-time defensive player of the year. Right? Because the way that he's just running around, shutting down fucking absolutely everybody in conjunction with Ant-Man and sort of with Gobert and Cat sort of as the, manning the middle as the Twin Towers. It's McDaniels who stirs that defensive drink sometimes and just brings like this fucking insane, just dopamine intensity that you're like, oh, they're never going to score. And guess what? They didn't ever score. They had 9 points in that fourth quarter. 20 zip, 13 zip, 24 zip. Those runs are absolutely insane. God, it was incredible. What a game. And well done, Jaden McDaniels, because today he was better than Lonzo Ball. This game was insane, so we better move on to some more fun stuff, like, I don't know, the Magic tweet of the day. Congratulations to Stephen Curry on winning his second PBWA Magic Johnson Award, honouring a player who displays cooperation and grace in dealing with the media and fans, both on and off the court. By the way, Stephen Curry, I had fun hanging out with your mum last night at the Sparks home opener. Thanks, Magic? What a last line! Hey, good job, Steph Curry. Awesome. I also hung out with your mum last night. Just saying. You dog, Magic. Just remember to cover up. Just saying. Anyway. Because didn't Dell and the mum break up anyway? Magic, you doing some rooting? What's going on, buddy? What's going on? Anyway, finally, Dickhead of the Week.
Dickhead of the Week.
The Draymond Green Memorial Dickhead of the Week award once more goes to Draymond Green. So the more I sat with like his weird, really fucking weird, and like Celtics fans also jumped in on this, which is really good to see. The really fucking weird post-game comments to Jason Tatum. I don't care that you're mates. Like that was, it's really slightly difficult to understand like Draymond when he's like, oh, I'm just joking around. It's like, well, jokes are usually delivered, I don't know, with the intent to be slightly funny or humorous. And like, he's just like, fuck you, Jason Tatum, you shit. And you're never going to get MVP votes because you haven't won a fucking title. And you're like, oh, fine, Jesus. It's a bit harsh, but I mean, I'll pay it. And so it was good to see that, like, similar to, like, that was the first thing I brought up on yesterday's show, right? Like, it was just fucking strange as the Draymond just like, it doesn't matter shit that you made the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, I think your point is, because you haven't won the title yet, this shouldn't be seen as, like, the crowning achievement of a season. Then that's what you should be trying to get across there, Draymond, as opposed to just going, you're shit house at basketball because you've not won a title and I've won 4. And you're like, all right, fuck it. Anyway, Draymond easily wins the Dickhead of the Week award once more. All right, let's quickly do some yeah-nahs, and then we'll go to Cam Gliddon, and then we'll do the game previews and all that sort of stuff right after this.
This is Cam Gliddon.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Kadee.
This is Darryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Illy.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA
and you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, let's do it. NBA Straya Yeah Nah is brought to you by the NBA Straya shop. Get your merch. Where's the button, Jim?
Debo. Get your merch, get your merch. Wear it. Get your merch, get your merch. Get your merch, get your merch.
Listen to the man. Get your merch, get your merch. Get a t-shirt, get a hoodie, get a stubby holder, get a coffee mug. There's only a couple of those left. I'll tell you what, the hoodies, need them right now. It is just cold and miserable here in Melbourne. Anyway, let's do some yeah nahs. Matty O. It's not really so much a yeah nah. He just sent through a comment, but I like the idea of it using it as a yeah nah. Thanks, Matty. At what point does the blame shift from Giddy to J-Dub and Chet for underperforming? Yeah, nah, yeah, it should. I sort of broke this down a little bit on yesterday's show, didn't I? Like how it's not Giddy that's like the big problem for OKC. It's like J-Dub and Chet just sort of going, oh, God, I don't know how to be the secondary scorer yet. And it's like, yeah, this is what happens for OKC. You've got a bunch of pretty inexperienced young dudes in their first extended playoff run. This is what happens. So it is weird that everyone sort of just dumped on Gids as much as they did. And we actually have a really good chat about that with Cam later on in this show, like talking out some of the Giddy stuff and just like what happens, how do you deal with it, what do you do? And it sort of, it feels like Chet has a lot more wiggle room in terms of his performance because he does at least give you that little bit more defensive sort of presence. But he's also getting sort of shredded. And he certainly did last game. So a little bit of the blame should be on them already. But I feel like Gids is copping heaps of it, which is not great. Anyway, Jez Oz had a couple of good ones. Hey, boss, happy Friday. Tins. Oh, geez, I'd hate to be a tin in about 45 minutes. Deleted. Got a couple of yeah-nahs for you. Number one. Boston need a hard 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Finals to quell the choke tag after being swept by the Nuggets in the finals. Look. I don't think this Boston team, when they do and likely make the finals, I don't think they get swept by either Denver or Minnesota or Dallas or OKC, right? I think they are that good that they could win that series, at least get a couple of good ones. But they sort of, it's going to be a weird one if they sort of get there and don't show up. I think this is the sort of bigger question, and it's like a more philosophical question about this Boston team. It's like, what more can you do at this point, right? Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Extreme Zinger Meal. Where is he? Oh, yes.
Extreme Zinger Meal.
Jrue Holiday and co. Derek White. This is your year. You've got to fucking go there, go all the way. You can't basically... Anything less than a 6-game series in the final. To be honest, If it's not a 7-game series and if they don't win, you're going to have to start asking some pretty big questions about Boston no matter what, I reckon. It's a weird situation they find themselves in where they're not going to get credit for making an Eastern Conference Finals. They'll get credit for making the finals, but even it'll depend on how they go in those finals as to what our final sort of vibe will be on them. It's a strange one. Number 2, the Knicks would be dumb to give up anything for Booker. Yeah, nah. And Booker would be the worst fit with Brunson. They have their dude, Brunson, and Booker's Suki Lala approach to life would probably piss the Nova Knicks off more than anything else. Yeah, nah. Yeah, I think it's weird that everyone's like, oh, Booker. Booker next to Brunson. Donnie Mitchell next to Brunson. It's like, the last thing I ever want to do is take the ball out of fucking Jalen Brunson's hands at this point. I need a shooting guard who's just going to go full Ray Allen and just be like, hey, I will get you 19 points, shoot the piss out of it, play some pretty hard-nosed defense, and we're going to win a title next to Brunson. You sort of need that 6'5" kind of shooting guard. Donnie Mitchell is not that. Devin Booker, maybe a little bit more, but maybe not so much in terms of the hard-nosed defense. Ironically enough, it might have been Bradley Beal, but he's also shit, so it's a bit of a tough one. The really hard aspect of that is that there's not too many of those dudes in the NBA. It's why the notorious KCP is such a good fit next to Jam, Jamal Murray and Jokic, right? A really, really low usage 2-guard. And if you sort of look around the league, it's maybe, to be honest, for the Knicks, it should just be Mikal Bridges, right? Get him from Brooklyn, away you go. You've got even more Nova, and off you go. But if you're Brooklyn, there's no fucking way you're trading Mikal Bridges to the Knicks. So it's a bit of a tricky one. You sort of just need that extra one wing who's got a little bit of size because you've got Josh Hart, you've got Dante DiVincenzo, but we know they're a little bit tiny, a little bit small. You know who'd be perfect next to Jalen Brunson? Do you? Because I don't. To be honest, it's someone like Klay Thompson. That's why the Steph Curry stuff works. So you got to find the next Klay Thompson and go, right, that's our guy. You know what's really hard though? Finding a Klay Thompson. It is fucking hard as. So yeah. Bit of a tough one there. Anyway, but yeah, Booker, I feel like the Booker and Mitchell fits are pretty fucking bad for the Knicks. I just don't get that at all. I agree. Next one, the Knicks should be going for a Paul George-sized type of player to complement Jalen and Co. Yeah, to be honest, that's kind of it. You need that slightly bigger wing. You've got OG on one side. You've got Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. You might be all right, once you've got Randall and the other Mitch Robinson back, but geez. It is a really tricky position they find themselves in to sort of take that next leap. And there's pretty much a pretty tough dearth of handy 2-guards. It might be DeMar DeRozan. Maybe someone like that who you might be able to get on the cheap. Maybe. Otherwise, there's not too many good options out there. Last one here. The former player the Thunder need to take the step and help this young squad is not KD, Westbrick, or Fat Man Hoop OKC clan, but none other. It's Steven Adams brew. Yeah, nah. I actually don't mind that. Yeah. I think KD would probably help as well, just saying. But Steven Adams, I mean, Houston, with the emergence of Jock Landale in the back half of last year, they've got to look at that and go, we've got Şengün, we've got Jock. We probably can move Steven Adams on. We don't really need that. So I kind of agree. He'd sort of give them just that big physical presence they can bring in off the bench, get some rebounds, lay some just absolute brick shithouse screens. That'll help. You know how much that would help SGA score even more in the pick and roll? Fucking hell. Just you fucking slamming the barn door shut with big Steven Adams, bro. Not bad. And Hazard P. Shouts to Hazard P. Feeding the crowd chicken when you're down 40. Oh, it's hilarious. And they were playing the chicken song, as he points out. He's like, yeah, it was absolute chaos that Julian Strawther missed both free throws and everyone's going off tits even more. That was an absolute chaos vibe. He goes on to say, I find the crowd screaming and booing the bench players hilarious. Yeah. These weird sort of crowd incentives of like, if the other team misses a couple of free throws and everybody loses their shit. It's like, do you know how much money it costs to get into a fucking playoff game? Like a lot. And motherfuckers like, $4 chicken sandwich for free, bitches. Yeah. That's chaos. All right, quick one. Unpopular opinion of the day.
Now look at me, please. Look at me.
Is there a number in the third quarter of a game 6 where you are up 3-2 in the series where you just go, fuck it? Because I feel like Michael Malone was like, we just need one more good run and we're going to be back. Nah. There's a game you're always going to lose. And like I didn't actually hit on this earlier. The unpopular opinion of the day might be, I'd put the cue on the rack for this game a little bit earlier than usual because you're down 25 in the third quarter. You're still one really good run away from making this a game. At the same time, you've got to be like, we really don't have it today. And like this is the cool thing about getting absolutely shit pumped like the Denver Nuggets did, right? Like that's a game you learn, you take nothing from. You're like, we were just bad. We didn't hit any fucking shots. Goes in the bin. Like you move on that from that game way quicker than you do like a close loss in a game 6. It's like, we had a chance to knock them over and move on and we blew it. This one, it's like, we never had a fucking chance. We got fucking blown away. Like that, you just put that in the bin, you move the fuck on. So that might be the good thing. And I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion of the day, but I think it's actually good that the Nuggets lost the way they did rather than like expending shit tons of energy, getting it back to 12 and still losing by like 14, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think it makes sense. Does it? Do you ever make sense, Jim? No. Outback Takehouse. It's Friday at Outback, and you know what that means? 4 for 1 TGIF oil drum cans full of icy cold Foster's Lager. It is definitely not Australian for horse piss. It's probably beer. And it's only at Outback. And today's Flame Grilled Take comes courtesy of sous chef Jez. He says, Michael Malone put in a secret call to Shaq after Game 2 and asked him to throw shade over Jokic to light a fire of rage under the Serbian Durry puncher's horse-loving ass. Only at Outback. I actually fucking love this, that Jez sent this one in, that it was actually Michael Malone behind the scenes going, hey, Shaq, can you... So when they give Jokic his award... Can you, look, it'd be really, really cool if you were like, I voted for SGA and just like really shit on Jokic and like his amazing achievement of winning 3 MVPs. So if you could, just shit on him. Yeah, that'd be really good. So if you're really obnoxious and act like a dick and like give him no credit for winning 3 MVPs, if you could do that, that'd be a real big handy help thing for me. Thanks, man. And Shaq would be like, not a problem, Michael. I'm just happy to help. Because that's exactly what's happened, right? After the second game, he's like, wait a minute, Shaq is talking shit to me. I'm fucking way better than Shaq fucking. Amazing gear. All right, no Australian player watch because we didn't have the Aussies, but they will be back in action on the weekend. So let's go to Cam Gliddon, and then we'll come back on the Andrew Gaze Graham Umber Award and the game previews right after. Let's say this one from Delhi.
This is Matthew Delvedova, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, here he is. We welcome back a very special guest. He's a friend of the program. What is this? Multiple times he's been on now. He's over there in the far, far east, as we call it from Australia, New Zealand. What's going on? It's Cam Gliddon. What's going on, Glizzo?
What's up, man? Happy to be back on. And, yeah, just chilling in Southland in Invercargill, ready for our game tomorrow against the Sharks. So, yeah, just got a bit of time. Thought we'd better chat.
This is awesome. I mean, we've spoken back and forth here and there. Like, I think we were like just chatting just before you actually signed with the Breakers. And I'm like, I feel like you got bigger things to deal with right now than jumping on the show, like moving to New Zealand. How was that process? Like, what happened, man? Like, you're in Southeast Melbourne, Phoenix. I call them the Southeast Melbourne Magic Phoenix, but that's me. But you go from the Phoenix to the Breakers. Like, what was that process like? Like uprooting everything and going to Kiwi land?
Yeah, it was harder than first thought. I mean, I thought, New Zealand, Australia being practically neighbours, we'd kind of help each other out. The Breakers did well and helped me out, but just the transfer of bank accounts, transfer of furniture and cars and stuff, like it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. But when I eventually got over here and got settled, like it's a beautiful place to live on the North Shore in Auckland. I can't complain too much.
I love it. So I spent a lot of my career, like as a music writer, journalist, editor. I've worked on a lot of magazines. And without fail, 95% of the graphic designers we had were Kiwis. So I feel like I'm like well-versed in Kiwi-dom. But to only like a degree, I've never lived over there. I've never visited. But the cool thing is, it seems like the Breakers crowds are absolute psychos, right?
Yeah, they are. They're good. And they're real dedicated, like you see the same people there every single week. It's not like, it's a good thing that they're dedicated fans and they'll tell you, I've been a member for this long, and you're like, wow, like you're actually fully into this thing. And they show you so much love, like whether we were doing good or bad, going through, some winning patches or some losing patches, they're all about supporting you and patting you on the back. So they're good people over here.
I love that. I feel like that's the very sort of Kiwi approach as well. It's like, oh, bro, no, you guys are doing great, eh? That's sweet as. But
no, they are good, man. They're like really appreciative of effort and hard work. And if you take the time to show them love, they definitely show you love back.
Awesome. This year as well, I guess, the NBL season, like before we talk some NBA gear, I mean, how did that go for you? You sort of like, it was like the Breakers season was a weird one, right? You had a roster where you got Parker and you've got Zai and stuff like this. It never quite seemed to mesh, it felt like, properly. But when it did, it was awesome. Like, there was moments where you're like, God, they're the best team in the entire league, you see. And I think I remember reading that, what was it, like 8 minutes where you guys were like fully healthy for the entire season or something?
Yeah, it was a bit like that. I agree. I thought at times, like when we were playing, I thought we were the best team in the league and nothing could stop us. And then there was times where we couldn't get anything going because, there was injuries, yes, but sometimes we were just not what we could be, So it was a bit of a roller coaster year, especially for me personally. Like I was in and out so much and trying to figure out my role and what I can do to help, but at the same time, not really playing as much as I was used to. So mentally trying to figure that out and kind of trying to be productive when the minutes weren't really there. But in terms of teammates and having fun with the boys, it was all good, like it always is. Just a bit of a struggle year to collectively kind of put wins in a row and figure it out. But I think with how we went and how we finished, like we got the most out of our season with all the setbacks we had.
Yeah, I mean, so like play-ins and stuff like that for the NBL, like how hard is that to actually get up for like a sort of knockout playoff game, right? Like it's a pretty strange sort of approach when you think about, I mean, the NBA now obviously has the play-in tournament and their little bits and bobs. For the NBL, I mean, how do you sort of get up for like one and then you're actually like, all right, now it's the Hawks as well. Oh God, can we just like get into a series properly? Like what's happening? How weird is that?
Yeah, it's different, mate. Because like I've played in the league for a while now, and it's been top 4 for so long, and then they've brought this rule in. And I think it's awesome. It keeps the game so competitive all the way through all the rounds, because back in the day, the top 4 or the top 3 were always kind of set with a few rounds to go. And then you have these games that are not very good to watch, not competitive, and people aren't going all out. So it keeps it competitive. But yeah, we beat Sydney to knock them out, and we're on top of the world, and we feel like we're going all right. Then we're like, crap, we've actually got to win another roadie in a few days' time and not go back home. And word was, if we got that win, we'd go straight to wherever we're going next to play another roadie. So 3 roadies in a row to kind of keep your hopes alive. Like, it's tough. Like, we deserved it, obviously, coming 6th. Like, that's our fault. But yeah, it's a tough thing to play in. I'll play games that, like, these are must wins, and even then, once you win, you haven't really put a dent into the playoffs at all. So winning Sydney was good. Losing in Wollongong was tough, but those guys were playing well and really showed the second half of the season how to really turn things around. And I think we lost to a better team.
Yeah, I feel like, though, we should, like, the vast majority of basketball fans in Australia will be just thanking you for knocking over Sydney. Like, that was pretty great. So good job, everybody. That said, your NBL journey has been remarkable. Like, it is absolutely chaos. Like, what is it? Taipans, Bullets, Phoenix, Breakers. On the spot, what's the best place to live? Come on, what's the best city? You got to go Melbourne or I'm going to fight you.
Best place to live? Got to be Brizzy.
Yeah, I'll pay that.
Obviously spent the most time in Cairns. Sorry, but like, the reasons you will understand.
I get it.
Spent the most time in Cairns, loved it, but it got a bit too small towards the end. Brisbane was beautiful weather and beautiful city. Melbourne, I was unfortunately there for COVID. So, like, I didn't get the Melbourne experience that everyone talks about. Like, majority of the time I was locked inside or stuck in Tasmania or not allowed to see my brother, not allowed to see my mates. So as much as I appreciated the time in Melbourne, it wasn't the funnest of times for everybody. Like, everyone was going through that stuff. I'm not playing victim. It's just how it was. And Breakers has been great being in New Zealand, but there's no place like home, like Australia. And I think Brisbane, if I had to pick out of the 4 places I've played, Brisbane would be it. Sorry, mate.
Nah, that's all right. I dig it. Like, to be honest, I thought you'd just be like, nah, man, New Zealand is rad. Like, I got 2 small kids. Like, this is just, it's easier. Like, that's my entire vibe.
Yeah.
Like, Melbourne is hard enough with 2 kids, let alone, like, also trying to be, a professional basketball player as well as dealing with COVID. Speaking of which, Dad Straya, like, hashtag Dad Straya, how's it gone having the 2 kids? I mean,
mate, it's good. 4-year-old now and a 2-year-old. Both of them in daycare twice a week, which gives my wife and I a little break. But they're the best, man. Like, it's really grounded me and given me a way better perspective on life and things that are important. I think towards the end of, the second half of my career, things haven't gone the way I would have liked in terms of injuries. And sometimes my roles in teams, although trying to be the best teammate I can, you're like, God, I think I can do more, and I think I've got more to give to this team. When I come home and go to dad mode, like, it's definitely the happiest time of my day.
Yeah, I think, like, with the kids, obviously, it's like it's an interesting setup, right? Dad Straya, we've talked about this before on this show, right? Like, it gets that much more difficult, trying to do your job, do what you're doing, but then kids are rad. So it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, no, but you're right about the first part, man. Like, going on the roads become harder, like, mentally, being away from them, and you hear about, like, you're on the road and your missus goes, oh, Jimmy or Penny's sick, or Jimmy and Penny, this happened, blah, 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 and you can't be there.
Yep.
So your mind's always a bit back at home when it should be on the road. But I think the positives far outweigh the negatives with having kids and playing professional sport. Like, just taking them on the court after the games and seeing their face light up and bringing them into the locker room after a win, like, that stuff's awesome.
Yeah, that's rad. That is a really cool part of it. Like, I don't know, just like, I think the fun part was, I think we had like a sort of run of essentially sort of your generation of like Australian basketball dudes all just have kids all at the exact same time as well, right? I think there was a run where we had like Jace Kadee on the show, Sobes, yourself, like even Delhi, right? Like just all the guys basically having kids at the exact same time, which is pretty funny and pretty weird. But you like, I guess that all like, I think we had this chat where it's like it needs to have like an NBL like dad chat, like just on a WhatsApp group or something. Just everyone just needs to be on that constantly, just asking for advice, trying to figure out, just sharing like clips of the kids doing dumb shit and all that sort of stuff, right? It would have been great.
It would have been, man. Like, and I was in Brisbane at the time, and Jace had his, and I had mine, and then Sobey, and then obviously Macca and Weeksy. My man Sean Bruce had his, so it's not really advice anymore, but it's just bouncing things off each other. Like, what's your kid up to? Like, what stage are you at? Like, because there's obviously heaps of milestones that hit that you don't think about. You think of like walking and talking, but not the little ones. I got a friend walking in now giving me some grief there. He's in his pajamas. It's bloody 5 p.m., mate. Yeah, so it's awesome just going back and forth with your mates that have kids, like Tom Vodanovich, but he's a child.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like most of my, like, so, you know, we've got the same thing, like dad chats. Like mine are mostly like basically, oh, guess what? The 18-month today took a shit on the floor. Like it's a lot of that sort of stuff, right? Like it's like, yep, that was pretty good. It was weird. But then you sort of go in the details, you're like, yeah, classic. Everyone's dealing with it. Real quick, so NBA playoffs right now, like we're at the series or at the pointy end of the second round, which has been unreal over the last sort of like week and a half. We had a massive blowout in Minnesota, Denver today. What do you think happens in Game 7? You got any vibes on this one?
Man, like this series is crazy. Like I watch a lot of playoff basketball, not a lot of regular season, and it doesn't stick in my brain in the past really, but I can't remember a series, where it's just flipped back and forth so excessively with the blowouts. But like Game 1 and 2, you go Minnesota are sweeping this. They're so much more active. They know what they're doing. They're so locked in. And then Denver do their thing for 3 games. I just got to go with Denver in Game 7 at home, defending champs. I'm sure Jokic is going to figure out what they lacked and try to bring that. So I'll go with Denver, but man, it's anyone's guess. Like I'm not really a betting man at all, but I wouldn't be able to bet on this one.
Yeah, it's chaos. I mean, speaking of Jokic, I mean, have you played with a big man who's just like a sick passer? And like, has that just, because I mean, I feel like you're sort of built for that kind of vibe, right? Just out there on the wing, just knocking down threes, getting the pass out of the post from like the active big man. Who's the best big man passer you've played with?
Oh, it'd be hard to go past like a Rob Lowe. He knows what he's doing with the ball, and he gets in those actions where, like, we run a lot of actions like that where it puts him in position to make those passes. But I do remember back in the day, like playing in Cairns, Matty Burston and Nate Jarway in the post. When they threw it in, like Aaron Fern had a rule, you have to look weak side at the 3-point shooter before you go into your move. And that was beautiful for me because you knew awesome. It was going inside. Like I had the first look, which is crazy. But yeah, Nate Jarway and Rob Lowe, I think probably the best by a little bit.
Nice one. I love, like, my favorite thing about this series is that, like, after 2 games of, like, getting completely just towed, everybody's like, see, those were fake MVPs for Jokic. And everyone's like, oh, we don't need to do this conversation. It's the dumbest one in the world. What are we doing? Other ones, what do we got? Pacers, Knicks as well. That's why I think Game 6 of that is tomorrow. The Knicks have just got, like, no dudes left. Like, to be honest, we've just talked about the Breakers and, like, the injuries that you guys went through. The Knicks are in this point where basically they're playing, 4 dudes who are 6'4" and under, and then Isaiah Hartenstein, and that's kind of it, right? Like, it's absolutely chaos. Who do you like in this one? Like, Game 6, you're going to Indy for this game. Can Indy force a Game 7? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, they're playing these young guys, and they're playing whole games nearly under Tibbs, but, like, it's not like Pacers are this well-oiled machine that's going to roll over them because they're doing that. So another series, like, I couldn't pick, but I feel like New York, and I could be completely wrong, but I feel like New York have controlled the series majority of the time. Like, I feel like when Indiana have, apart from that mad blowout, apart from that, like, I feel like Indiana have struggled to get great shots, but New York have been able to create better shots. So in the end, like, over a 7-game series, you think the team that can create the best shots is going to probably win. So I think New York we'll get that done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers win Game 6, but I feel like the Knicks still take the series, right? Like, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, I think Brunson's control over the game, and yeah, but, you know, like, Indiana's got some athleticism and talent. I just don't. Well, both teams aren't that proven. I don't know. It's anyone's game. Like, I'd probably predict. I could have easily predicted the Boston Cavs one for you, but that's already over.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Then I guess the last one, like the Aussie series, right? You got Dallas OKC on one hand. You got Josh Greeny Green, and you've got Dante Exum up against the Gidmeister himself, Josh Giddey. This one's a chaos engine of a series, right? Like that game 5 from Dallas, like the way they came out and sort of slapped them around and went, no, we're still really good. Was a bit, that sort of was a surprise to me. I thought OKC would have bounced back after, like, you know, getting into a bit of a groove at the end of Game 4. How are you vibing on this one?
Yeah, it's a good series, man. So Luc is my favorite player in the league, and I was lucky enough that Ryan Brokoff played with him for a little bit and got me a signed jersey. So nice. Shout out to Rowdy for that one. So he's my favorite player, but my favorite team is OKC. So I don't think what they're doing with Giddey's the right move. I think they should keep starting him, and if they need to fasten up the rotation, they do that. But I can't go past the ability for Kyrie and Luka to just break people down and then just have the most brutal athletes on the wings, like cutting those baselines, and the center, can't remember his name, but blocking all those shots. Like, I think they're more well-rounded in the starting 5. I think OKC's deeper, but I think Dallas is going to take it over. And those Aussie guys, Green and Exum, both doing really well, playing their roles great. So I think Dallas is going to get it done.
So the Giddey sort of thing, so you're a gun shooter. Like, obviously, he was really good in the Pelican series, right? Like, he was knocking down whatever he sort of needed to. And now Dallas is just full-blown sagging off him whenever he touches it. It's like, go on, shoot. Fucking have a crack. Like, in your head, like, what goes through your head as a shooter at that point? You go, like, I feel like you'd just be like, fuck it, I'm shooting, dickheads. Like, fuck off. Whereas Gids, I mean, it's obviously fucked his confidence a bit here, right?
Yes and no. I mean, someone leaves you open like that, you're going to miss some. Like, shooting 50%, you'd be stoked. So if he misses one, it's not like the defense worked. That's just how the ball rolls sometimes. It's not like, we're leaving him open, he misses one, and he's all in his head with his confidence. Like, I think he's fine. Like, he's a real confident player, and I think he's comfortable taking those shots. It's just a matter of, I guess, the coaching staff. What are they living with? Are they going to live with them all sagging off Giddey and clogging up the paint and letting him shoot those shots? Are they happy with that? And do they think that's going to get him the win, or are they not? And I have full confidence Giddey will knock those down when he takes them. And they're always good shots. And he's been playing that little dunker spot as well, like trying to get those little floaters as well. So it's not only him sitting on the 3-point line and then daring to shoot, like, he's challenging them in other ways. So I think he's fine. And I think sometimes the media, especially in the NBA, they read into things pretty heavily. And when he got cut from the starting role, it's obviously some sort of story that they can bring out. But I think, like, he's a great player, and he's going to be a factor in this series and the next series if they make it, just like he was the series before. So I back him to figure it out for sure.
Nice one. Do you reckon OKC actually, fight back, win Game 6, win the series? What do you reckon?
I think, like I said, I think Dallas would get it. They're just so talented. Like, having the Kyrie-Luka combination is just, that's insane, man. It's so good to watch. They might force the Game 7, but I think Dallas in the end get it done.
Nice one. All right, there you go. I mean, you're over in New Zealand. How's the NZ NBL? What is it? The NZBL gear over there at the moment. That's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, it's wicked, man. It's an awesome league. Our team 9-2 at the moment. Auckland Tuatara sitting on top of the ladder, playing some good hoops. We've got an old-ass starting 5, which is wicked. It's Corey Webster at the 1.
Awesome.
Me at the 2, Tarangi at the 3, Vodonovic at the 4, and Rob Lowe at the 5. And then off the bench, we've pretty much got a bunch of 19, 20-year-olds sprinkled in with a couple older guys. But it's just the spectrum of old to young is crazy, but it makes for some good times. And we're playing well, which is good. And, like I said, down in Invercargill, about to play the Southland Sharks, who are unfortunately on the bottom of the ladder. So should be a good one for us tomorrow.
There you go. A couple of tins and away you go. I love that. Awesome. Yeah. Well, Cam Gliddon, always a pleasure having you on the show, man. It was a really pleasure just to have a chat and just sort of pick your brains. Well, I didn't even get to harangue about Modi and just be like, is he just absolutely a psycho behind the scenes as well? I think most of us sort of understand that he's like a lunatic. To have him as your actual coach, I mean, is that a fun experience?
It's an experience. Is it fun? Like sometimes, but like any coach, like he's pretty good at what he does. He's pretty intelligent. He does shout a lot. I appreciate him bringing me in and everything like that. So we leave on good terms, and hopefully I can find myself another job somewhere in the NBL or wherever it may be. But like I said earlier in the call, I've loved my time in New Zealand. It's a great place, great people, and looking forward to finishing this NZ NBL season out with a championship.
Sick. Awesome. There you go. Cam Gliddon, absolute legend. Thanks for jumping back on, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
This is Shane Heal, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, let's do it. A really quick Role Player of the Week award. Mike Conley. I wanted to it was amazing how much of a difference he made coming back for Game 6. How much they missed him in Game 5 as just a table-setting, do-everything point guard. Today, 31 minutes, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 0 turnovers, 3-6 from downtown. He's the perfect idealized role-playing point guard, right? He just sets the table for everybody, scores when he needs to, is wildly efficient the vast majority of the time, and he was really bloody good today. So he's the Role Player of the Week. That's right, the Luc Longley Memorial Role Player of the Week award. All right, what about the Paddy Mills Gameday Baller Gameday Twitter check-in, where we look at what Paddy's been up to on the thing. Love it. Let's go. Paddy with the good hair. There he is. Oh, hanging out. Jesus Christ. He's got like a million stories. They're drinking coffee. There's the doggo. He's hanging out, drinking his Finker's coffee. DJ Sackman's there. It's cool. Oh, he's getting... What a life Paddy's got at the moment. He's just like stretching, doing yoga, working out, getting massages. There's the missus working out. I don't know if I should be looking at that. Jesus, Paddy. Come on, mate. You're going to get us all in trouble. Chase the vibe to Paris. Oh, he's already back over here and working out. This is great. How good are those shoes looking? Nice one. He's at the University of Miami hanging out with some motivational gear, getting his shots up. Good vibes only. 1% better every day. Paddy, you absolute legend. How good is that? Anyway, that was good stuff. How good was that chat with Cam Gliddon, by the way? Really enjoyed that. He's a absolute legend, his Glids. Right. Let's do a bit of a game preview, though, for the weekend games. Game preview. Game previews. Thanks, Inadvertent Bean. Not a problem, Jim. How's it all going? Oh, yeah, getting there. Had a little bit taken off the beard today. What do you reckon? We're looking a little bit neater? Probably. Sure. Right, we have some games. We do. We have the New York Knickerbockers of New York City taking on the Indiana Pacers for Game 6 tomorrow. The Pacers are now 6.5-point favorites. That was 5.5 yesterday. I am still very tempted to go the Pacers because I think in Games 3 and 4 when we saw the Pacers at home, they were just that much more engaged. They were flying around. There was a little bit more pace. And the Knicks, without OG Anunoby, it just got a lot harder. You had the likes of Siakam and Halliburton playing their asses off. I'm really tempted, and I think I'll go the Pacers still, -6.5. I think they force Game 7 against the Knicks. Should be a cracking game. It's a fascinating game, if nothing else. I'll tell you that much. So that'd be cool. Let's go. Then we have on Sunday, Thunder Mavericks, is what I was trying to say. I think I'm landing with Dallas. So we talked this one out with Glids. He was talking about how just the sheer sort of talent between Kyrie and Luka versus even with the OKC depth out there, there's just probably a little bit too much top end stuff there for Dallas. I kind of agree. I'm going to go the Mavs. They're -3.5 at the moment. I actually like the Mavs there. And then on Monday, so we have a Monday morning Game 7. Do do an NBA Straya live stream. Should we? I think we should. We might sit here in the NBA Straya studios and do a live stream on Monday morning of Wolves, Nugs, Game 7. At the moment, the Nugs are 4.5-point favourites. I will probably take the Nugs minus 4.5. I think they can win at home. I trusted them in Game 6. That came back to I was the most wrong a man has clearly ever been, considering they lost by 45. I trust the Nugs at home more than just about anything in the NBA, though, right now. So give me the Nuggets minus 4.5. Jokic to demolish a rate. Jam Jamal Murray, look, get that bad shooting game out of the road. That's fine. He comes back out on fire in Game 7, and the Nuggets win it. So I think we'll do a live stream on Monday morning for Game 7. Sound good? Good. Let's do the bloody thing. You can join us in there. We'll be all over the socials, and that'll be pretty bloody fun. But 3 massive games. I can't bloody wait, man. Only 3 series left. We could be done by Monday with all those. We could have our conference finals all set up. Meanwhile, Boston's just hanging out at home, just going, dude, whatever, kid. So, Pacers minus 6.5, Mavs minus 3.5, Nuggets minus 4.5. Jim, are you just going all the favorites? I mean, I am. But at the same time, they're elimination games. So, I trust who I trust. Dallas is pretty hard to trust, don't get me wrong, but I think they closed it out in 6. And this is the tough one for the Thunder. Knicks Pacers is probably the trickiest one, especially that line. Brunson could just go off, but we have also seen, like in games 3 and 4, he was just a little bit off his tucker. So I think Pacers force Game 7. Nuggets win Game 7 on Monday morning. 10:30 on Monday. Thank you to the NBA for making sure that's not 5:30. Though I believe Knicks Pacers would be at 5:30 if there is a Game 7. So we might be coming in hot from watching that as well. All right, but that's it for this week. Thanks a massive million to Cam Gliddon for jumping on today's show. That was really fun. I love having Glids on. Always a good chat. Good-natured, good fun. That's it for today. We'll be back on deck Monday morning. In the meantime, make sure you're following NBA Straya on Twitter, Facebook, IG. We're all over the socials. You know that. Get around the AFL Today show. We had an awesome Thursday night team show last night. So if you haven't subscribed to that, what are you doing? You're killing me. You can check that out and this show out on YouTube as well. So that'll be pretty fun. Just FYI, the Gliddon interview, I don't think will be on YouTube just because we have problems with the video. So a bit of a tough one. Anyway, audio only. So you got to listen to it on the podcast. The Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast as well. Get around those. Hold all tickets as well with the GGs. Check a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, whatever app you use on your Android phone. It does really help. So come on. I don't ask for anything. I never ask for anything apart from this. Just rate, review, subscribe, tell them, mate, whatever you got to do. Good times, great memories. It's NBA Straya. All right, NBAstraya.com/shop. Get your merch. And a big thanks always go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song, as well as House Hats, Joshua De Laurentiis, Fascinator, Gold Mines, Ramshackle Army, Iowa, Sex Jedi, Green, and Dozers for all the tunes you hear throughout the show. Smash them all on Bandcamp, Triple J and Earth, Face Apple Music, Spotify, whatever. Remember, NBA Straya supports Australian bands. I'm going to go see Sparta tomorrow night out of the Croxton Band Room. That's going to be awesome. I can't bloody wait. If you ever wanted to feel old, though, it's like, hey, it's Sparta's 20th anniversary of Wiretap Scars. And I'm like, that was released 5 years ago maximum. I'm like, wait a minute. I was listening to that in like a share house in the inner city suburbs of Melbourne when I was like 19. So, yeah. It has been 20 fucking years. God damn. So if you're around, if you like Sparta, I'll see you at the Croxton. The week after, hold steady. Can't wait. All right. Either way, we'll catch you on Monday for a live stream along with Nuggets and Wolves on Monday morning. This is NBA Straya saying, look after yourselves, would ya? Thanks to Cam Gliddon and later, Hosanna!